Hello everyone. Today we're going to be looking at setting up Blender and using it to build a pretty simple sculpture type thing. The first thing I would recommend you do is use a mouse with 3 buttons or the scrolly wheel or whatever you want to call it, because it will help a lot with looking at different views. So once you're in Blender, you will change from Blender Render to Cycles Render. This will allow you certain options that you wouldn't otherwise get, and the quality of your render will be vastly improved. And we'll go to File, User Preferences. And here I'm in the Input tab, and for whatever reason, Blender's auto setting is to have right-click be the select, which can get really frustrating. So I suggest you change that now. Then we're going to Add-ons, and we're going to add Mesh Extra Objects. This will add a couple extra options, which we will be using for this tutorial. There are a ton of add-ons here. You can definitely look into them and see what you would like. There's very useful ones in here. The sapling tree gen, for instance. Anyway, when you're done, click Save User Settings and close out of that. Now, Blender is built really strongly around shortcuts, so I suggest you learn them early and use them often. There's a PDF that someone mentioned that I'm going to try and find and link, but for now I will just talk you through them. So we have the cube selected. We don't really want the cube. So hit delete on your keyboard and then delete again, and now it's gone. Now we're going to go into ortho mode to begin this. You don't have to go into ortho mode, it's just easier for this particular project. So for ortho mode, you'll hit 1 on the number pad and then 5, and that's ortho mode. So this blue line is up and down, and this red line is side to side, and it's a pretty flat view. To get our menu up, we're going to hit Shift and A, and then we're going to go to the Mesh option and down to Single Vert and add Single Vert. And there's our Single Vert. It's not super impressive, but there it is. So now we're going to extrude it to build sort of the skeleton of what we're making. So hit E for extrude and drag out. I'm just sort of making a random shape. Now you don't have to stay in ortho mode. What you can do is click down on the center scrolly wheel on your mouse and rotate by moving the mouse around until you find a view you like. And then click a point that you want to extrude from and hit E and move her out. So there we go. This is our basic structure and we're going to go with it. Now go back into object mode, because you can't add modifiers in edit mode. And then we're going to add a modifier, which is by clicking on this wrench button up at the top, and then click Add Modifier. We're going to add Skin. There we go. It's pretty chunky and pretty blocky, but it's a good start. And then we'll go back into edit mode, and you're going to click on one endpoint, and then hit Shift and click on another. And you can click on all of the endpoints of whatever you made doing this, and they'll all be selected. Now I'm going to hit Control A, and that's going to let me scale down those selected points, or up if you would prefer, but we're going to go down. And so you can do that until you're happy with the scaling of your object. And once you're good with that, go back into object mode. And I'm going to add another modifier called Subdivision Surface. And what this does is it adds more faces to your object and makes it look rounder and smoother, blah blah blah. The view is just what you see here. Render is how it will actually render. And generally you want the render to be pretty high quality and view can be pretty low quality, but you can turn it up as much as you want to make it super smooth. Just be aware that it uses more computing resources. So we have this. It looks pretty smooth and pretty wacky. So we're going to change the material on it. And for that, we go over to this little circle with the checkbox, or the check marks, and we will click New. And we'll open the preview so we can see what's going on. And by default, it'll be Diffuse BSDF. For this tutorial, I'm just going to change it to Glass BSDF, and then you can click on the color bar and move the color around. We'll give it a nice like blue color. So it looks like that. You won't see that much change here for now, but if I change the view to rendered, it looks pretty snazzy. The computer's also not that happy because it has to use more power, but that's fine. whatever computer. So we'll go back into, I think I just chose, material view, which is fine. And now we're going to make it wiggly. So we'll go back to the modifier tab, add modifier, and wave. So I'm not going to mess too much with the waves because this is just a quick little view, but you can watch it wiggle, turn to an ideal wiggling view, and then down at the very bottom here you see the play and the back and the forward buttons. Hit the play button and watch her dance.